Well, if you've been to most or all of these readings, you'll understand why I think I have the best job in the world. Working with students like these, like you all, is really a privilege. And this is one of the largest and most accomplished classes we've had in a very long time. It's a pretty amazing class. It's my pleasure to introduce one member of that class right now. First, let me say that Brandi Spaethe has been an amazing asset to the MFA program while she was here. Oh, she's still here. Well, see, I'm doing it. At risk of sounding hopelessly old-fashioned, I will simply say that I think she's a good citizen. While at Fresno, Brandi has worked on as a graduate assistant to the MFA program, as GA for the Philip Levine Poetry Prize contest, as an intern for the Normal School, and as a TA for the English department. She has been a central participant in most, if not all, of the student organizations, the Young Writers Conference, just about any activity you can imagine. She's worked tirelessly with me as an assistant on the Philip Levine Prize for all 3 of the years she's been here, and to be honest, I've been seriously staying up late nights worrying about what I will do, how I will manage when she's gone. This has been a particularly difficult 3 years for the university and the English department. We've been battered by budget cuts, staff cuts, and related chaos, and without Brandi's constant, capable, and calming presence, I'm not sure the Levine contest, for one thing, would have made it. She's been a generous, contributing member of our program, jumping in to help with whatever needed to be done and excelling at each task. This is all true, but this is not what we're here to celebrate tonight. We're here to celebrate Brandi as an outstanding young writer at the beginning, to quote Emerson, of a great career. Brandi's Thesis is a compelling collection of poems. Her writing has tact and grace, but never shies from uncomfortable revelations or difficult issues. One of the things I've always admired about her work is how clearly and boldly she communicates in lyrical form. The collection is partly about various journeys. There are a lot of road trips involved. And it's also about self-discovery, self-questioning, and longing. The poems carry us through literal landscapes and interior landscapes, in cars, on roads, through houses, bedrooms, parties, kitchens. They create a lively community of friends, family, lovers, ex-lovers. Yet the speaker retains a sense of separateness, even loneliness, a sense of standing apart, sometimes literally standing on the sidelines and observing. Brandi tackles bold subject matter and juxtaposes it with often profound introspection. She employs striking imagery, unusual phrasing, and sometimes startling language, and yet somehow manages to create an understated voice, a self-questioning and authentic voice, full of longing but with no self-pity or overstated drama. In her exit exam, which was wonderful, by the way, Brandi discusses several of her poems that deal with, quote, sexuality, identity, and unexpected attraction. She writes, I've noticed that I like to find the moment when something comes together but is also falling apart at the same time. And it's this exploration of ambiguity and ambivalence and viable contradictions that makes her work so complicated, so necessary, and so strong. Please welcome the poet, Brandi Spaethe.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Okay, so first, before I begin, it's so weird to be here and have like my thesis reading. I've been going to these things since I was an undergrad, so it's finally my turn. It's so exciting to be here. I'd like to thank my committee, my thesis committee, Connie, Tim Skeen, and John Bynum. I'd also like to thank my family for flying in from Indiana, my mom and my grandma, and my friends and workshop members, fellow students here. And I'd like to thank my students that I've taught, those of you who came. Thank you for coming. I'm going to read 6 poems from my thesis today. Most of them don't need much explanation, but if they do, I'll pause and give you some context. The first is called Bergamot Station. This is an arts district in LA. Bergamot Station. We walked through the galleries, cocking our heads back to watch large, complex paintings on the wall. Taylor says, there's one in the back corner. So I go and see a man in a suit with 4 arms, grasping a knife, a pair of scissors, his hand covering his face, the last hand making an eye in American Sign Language. Another painting depicts Los Angeles in a towering hierarchy, the homeless running amok at the roots of a vast empire, wrapped by freeways and starkly dappled with gated mansions at its peak. Men mowing lawns, sweat closer to the bottom, and I look for myself there behind a set of gingham curtains. The greatest strides can be made in silence. Taylor's quiet, tucked behind a camera, trying to keep what affects him. When a man looks at him across the cafe counter in the gallery's corner, I see he's used to what has permanence. And this blue-eyed barista is ever changing the longer we put words out and take them back in. When Taylor asks for a cup of coffee, I can hear him considering the fog outside that's begun to sink over the tops of palm trees like an ether. This next one is called You're So Skin Tight, and it takes place in a very gay bar. And the title's after a song by the Scissor Sisters, for those of you who are familiar with that band. The evening passes through the 3 of us. Justin lifts his chin to owe smoke from his mouth, and Jacob says, "Let's go to 501, where we slip in wearing t-shirts and tight jeans. The place bears rainbow flags like the last. I hold my bowler hat against my head, protecting it from fans blowing near large men in slick leather shorts, chains strapped crossways over their chests. They must have missed the small mounds protruding beneath my shirt. I'm standing in the back when a man asks, 'Are you okay?' As if to say, 'You know this is a place for men, right?' As if to say, 'You aren't looking in the dark pool room under televisions, stuck in corners, blinking one naked man after another over the wet look of black paint on the walls. We lean on wobbly tables under mirrors, where I tuck the genitals that don't hang below my belt back between my legs, and let my bare chest sweat through a black mesh shirt, pull the leotard wedge from my ass while leaning over a table, and smear dark lipstick down my face. Justin takes my hat from my head and puts it on his head, and Jacob slides my glasses up the bridge of his nose, both sipping on their hot pink cocktail straws, posing with cigarettes for blurred photos, my neon green straw bit between my teeth, all of us blurring into one waving caterpillar as if macrame or paper mache, sitting in the corner, glaring down into a phone, leaning back on the pool table, heels up, coming out of the dark bathroom. Okay. This next one is called, can you hear me okay? This next one's called Gull. It takes place on the bank of Lake Michigan in Chicago, Illinois. Gull is in seagull, which has multiple meanings. Thinking I somehow killed this one, I returned my camera to a take position. The seagull floats dead in a soup of plastic bottles, wrappers, dried grass, and a belly-up fish. Its eyes are missing, the neck lolling back and forth like a long, uncertain laugh. Chris looks over his shoulder while the whole seagull thing is happening, pacing with one hand around the back of his neck. Last night, we both crammed our bodies into the bathtub, our knees gathered in the center like mountains. What waves may crash didn't make any sound. I felt like a child again, drawing houses and yards on the tile with color soap aside my brother's. Yet here on the bank, Chris answers the phone and I remember bits of pita I fed a gull, like this one, on the Pacific coast, noticing after the last sliver fell into its esophagus that it was full in the neck. I wanted to get as close as I could before the bird flew away. Chris pulls the phone from his ear, puts it into his pocket. He looks at me kindly, but I don't want his kindness. In the mess floating below our feet, feathers disappear beneath debris and reappear again. And again the gull settles under the weight of the water stirring it. Okay. This next one's called We Put on a Bonfire. This takes place at my crappy apartment in Indianapolis. At Broderville and 54th and College was the cross streets, is the epigraph. The 2 of us are on the cement stoop out back. Carrie's lantern arm tattoo flickers behind shreds of hair that emit each time she snaps the scissors over my bangs. We just moved in, the leaves still fall. A giant trunk of a branch hangs out of the safari grass half decomposed. Carrie drags the thing carefully toward the charred pit and drops it clumsily into its mouth. We paint our clothes with the smell of campfire, dank enough to stain our sheets. Carrie opens the door for all the others. She embraces each one, spilling them out the back door with heavy cups and toiled hairstyles. We draw our names with half-burned sticks and lit cigarettes in the air. The fire swells and the leaves still die. We all toast. The city stirs with the dissonant airplanes overhead and the sirens plowing up and down College Avenue. Eager faces in the yard, and Carrie slides down next to the dragon of a girl I used to love, pressing her finger into her cheek where there would be a dimple. Carrie and the dragon lie on the safari grass. I can see through those eyes nights in bed, imagining their scents smashed together. Okay. This next one is about, sorry, do I look nervous? I'm terrified. I'm just kidding. Okay. This poem was prompted by my friends and I. We used to go to clubs sometimes, and we'd see people texting while they were dancing, and we thought it was hilarious. I found myself doing this one night. I was horrified by coming these people who used to make fun of me. So that's where this poem came from. It's called Telekinesis. Tonight, I'm one of those people we used to make fun of. Foam between my palms on the dance floor. We used to make up dances to imitate the few who couldn't tear themselves away from all those luminescent conversations. But tonight, I dance under the laser lights, and my moves depend on gyrating thumbs over the keys of my phone where I press some message to you, imagining you in your bed watching The Fifth Element, perhaps eating some pizza or drinking a Sprite, before you slide your hand down where there exists the fibers and optics of all those waving nerves. The throbs of music pulse under my feet. You're under the covers, sifting through your networks, untangling wires, some heavy breath building in the mostly dark of your bedroom. My hips wave under the spindled lights in multifarious colors, where I close my eyes and let it flood. I go outside when the song ends and light a cigarette on the damp patio, where I hear a group nearby talking about some YouTube video, where a girl is singing about losing her chapstick, and after locating it, and admits to needing a life. Hundreds of thousands have watched her staring at her webcam in her cluttered room, twirling her tube of wax. Okay, I have two more for you. This next one requires a little bit of introduction. This is, I've been kind of obsessed and researching a lot about this event that took place in Indianapolis in the 1960s. This young girl, her name is Sylvia Likens, was brutally tortured and murdered in this home where her babysitter lived, and her parents left her there for a couple months. And a lot of events occurred up to the death of her, but she was tortured for a period of time. So the house where it took place stood for many, many years and was eventually torn down in 2009. And so I found this video documenting the inside of the house, and I was just really fascinated by the footage of this video and the impulse for these people to break into this house and really see, and imagine the horrific things that happened there. So the poem is called Touring the Banishevsky House, which was the babysitter's name. Whoever broke in to document the inside peered out each window, so from every angle you could see what world outside passed without knowing. The video was leaked online a year before the house was leveled and turned into a church parking lot. Upstairs in the duplex, one of the bedrooms has prostitute written in red across the wall, and the camera looks out at the backyard and alley, neighbors' cars parked in their driveways, the lawn mostly dead, as if over summer kids had constantly trampled it. The houses resemble one another, large duplexes, all 2 levels, and close enough to downtown to see the industry of it. Sylvia was in the basement when she went cold. This time of year when the camera goes to look out another window over New York Street, when the trees are so close to turning calico, you'd think you were hallucinating. Over the years, the paint collected in words and figures. Everyone wants to make their mark on a place already marked. I walk by houses just like this all over the city. Small basement windows airing out laundry exhaust, cats creeping in the broken ones, paint peeling on the porch. Okay, this is my last poem. It's called Saturn. Saturn has 62 moons and probably more. We have one that we keep obscuring. In any city, I can't see the Milky Way. I can never see Saturn. Most of the time, this doesn't occur to me. Yet when a machine is landing next door on Mars, making tracks in the sand, and a flag waves from the dust on the moon, I wonder how far Saturn will be when we have walked Mars. Did you know that you could buy a ticket to the moon? Seriously, with enough money and enough training, you can walk the surface of the moon and see the Earth turning above you. So when I load all my things in the car, cross the deserts of North America to reach the other side of the country, Saturn doesn't seem so far away. In Albuquerque, heat waves stun the lights across the plain. Justin balances his checkbook in the Old Town restaurant before it hails, and we tuck ourselves into queen-sized hotel beds where we watch television, smoking like a Verhoeven film. I feel like Arnold stepping into the Total Recall station. A kind of suspension happens when leaving the first hill on a roller coaster. Stomach like a firefly in a dark field. Imagine it. Floating in the ether of road between one home and some unknown, stopping for gasoline in a desert where, without ever knowing of it, you see enough pinholes cut into the fabric of the sky, you'd swear it could deflate. If Saturn is there, I don't know which radiant dot it is. Thank you.